In this video, we're going to start talking about decimals. Now, we talked a lot about decimals last year, and we're just going to do a little bit now and look at the relationship between all the different parts. 3 key words though: tenth, not a 10, but a tenth; a hundredth, not hundred, but hundredth; and a thousandth, not 1,000, but a thousandth. I'm going to use these when I'm talking about things. So let's look at the relationship between numbers and digits in a decimal. So I've got a decimal which is 1.342. The 1 is the unit, the 3 is the tenth, the 4 is the hundredth, and the 2 is the thousandth. Now I'm going to change what each place value is from what we did last year. I'm going to take this block, we're going to imagine this is a 1,000 block, and 1,000 little ones would go in there. So this is going to represent the units. So if I had 2 of these, I'd have 2 whole ones. If I had 3, 3 whole ones. But here, I've got 1 whole one. Now I've got 3 tenths. Well, I'm going to use these to represent tenths, because 10 of these, if I put them on top of each other, 10 of them would make 1 whole unit. But I haven't got 10. I've got, in this number, 3 tenths. So there they are. Now here I've got 4 hundredths. And I'm going to use these to represent hundredths. There's 1 hundredth. And if I had 10 of them, I would have a tenth. But here I only have 4. So there we are. And then I have 2 thousandths. Here they are. Here are my 2 thousandths. So my number is 1.342. Okay, let's look at the second example I've got for you. The second example is a number where I have 4 tenths and 5 thousandths. Let's make that first and then see if we can write it as a decimal. So 4 tenths. Remember I said these were tenths. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I have 5 thousandths. Thousandths. Well, these are hundredths. So these are thousands. So I have 2, 4, 5 thousandths. Now how would I write this? Well, I have 0 units. So I have 0. Important to write that 0. I have a decimal point, because now I'm moving into the decimals, and I have 4 tenths. Well, I don't have any hundredths, but we need to say that. We need to hold that place value. So I put that I have 0 hundredths, and I have 5 thousandths. So my decimal is 0.405. Here's my final one. Well, in this one, rather badly, but I've drawn a decimal. And I want to write what number I have here. Well, I have 1 whole one, 2 tenths, 2 of my hundredths, and 1 of my thousandths. So my decimal will be 1 whole one, 0.221. In this video, we've just made a short example of the relationship between decimals and tenths and hundredths and thousandths, and we've looked at how we might write them, how we read decimals, and how we represent them using Deans and using pictures.